Somebody on the Catholic Answers program asked what I thought about intelligent design, for example, the intelligent design movement and their arguments. And I haven't studied everybody in the intelligent design camp, but I've looked at the work of people like Dr. Michael Behe, and I think, again, there's advantages and disadvantages. One of the advantages of the intelligent design type of arguments, and for those who aren't familiar, when it comes to Dr. Michael Behe, what he's arguing is that there are certain molecular machines. He focuses on the bacteria flagellum that exhibit what he calls irreducible complexity, right? That they have this incredible purposeful arrangement of parts that are perfectly situated and arranged and shaped and coordinated just so to provide a particular function. And that function is only available when all the parts are there and shaped and arranged just so, right? And he poses this as what he thinks is a serious challenge for a naturalistic evolutionary account, an unguided evolutionary account. He doesn't think that that pure Darwinism really could ever construct something of this sort of novelty or complexity, right? Mm-hmm. And I said, there's advantages and disadvantages to this approach. One of the advantage of this type of argument is if you just show somebody a picture of the bacterial flagellum, you can Google it online. I mean, it's hard hitting from an intuitive standpoint. You see this incredible machine, and the sort of on the surface, case for it is like, yeah, there's no way that this thing came about through a totally chancy process, right? There's no way. Now, again, of course, proponents of evolutionary theory will try to give certain accounts, and a lot of Michael Behe's work is showing that those accounts are completely inadequate, and that the best of our scientific knowledge shows that when we sort of let Darwin's theory run its course, it doesn't create anything of any significant novelty. Rather, what it does is it breaks and blunts existing functions, existing genes, and that can give certain survival advantages in the sense that a car might become faster if you knock some of the doors off, but it's inherently limited in what it can achieve, right? Mm-hmm. And the advantage of that approach is it's easy to get across. You could do it with kind of pictures, right? But the disadvantage is, at best, it's just giving you a probabilistic type of argument against a naturalistic theory. It does not argue directly for the existence of God. Most proponents of intelligent design are quite frank about that. They say, hey, look, the intelligent designer could be aliens for all we know. Now, most of them don't believe that, but they're willing to leave that open. So it doesn't do much work in terms of natural theology. Really what it's doing is it's kind of shooting for the legs of an atheistic paradigm. And that, of course, I think is somewhat useful because philosopher Alvin Plantinga said, look, for the atheist, evolutionary theory is the only game in town. So if this doesn't cut it, right? If this doesn't work, like, boy, they don't have much else to go on, right? In terms of giving an adequate explanation of things that need to be explained. Whereas a theist can be really, I think, neutral on evolution. If God wanted to create things through an evolutionary process, that's certainly God's prerogative. There's no reason to think he couldn't or wouldn't do that. In fact, there's some reasons to think that I think he positively would. And so theism can kind of give you the extra, oomph you need if you want to, actually hold on to evolutionary theory, but still be able to make sense of how these really quite amazing complex structures came about through there. So the advantage is, the way I kind of like to put it, Gary, is like, where do you want to ultimately do the work in the apologetics project? You can do the work kind of more up front with doing some deeper metaphysics and rolling up your sleeves and diving into the tall grass there. And it'll be more work up front, but I think you'll get a higher confidence in the existence of God, especially the God of classical theism, and you can learn more about God through that approach. Or you can do less work up front with some of these more novel approaches, and we just touched upon one, but there's many others we can discuss throughout the program that might be able to get certain points across quicker, but run into further difficulties downstream. Difficulties of, well, what God are we talking about? Are we even sure that we can establish that it is God that we're talking about at all? Can we get to the God of classical theism versus any other conception of God? There's lots of rival conceptions of God out there. So I don't think, I hope this isn't bad news to anybody, but I don't think there's any ultimately easy way of doing apologetics. It's all context dependent, who you're talking with, and where you think where you're willing to put in the work and where you think the work should be put in any given conversation. So sorry, I dumped a lot out there, but I'd like to hear your thoughts on any.
No, yeah, I totally agree. And but who's to say you only have to use one approach? Sometimes if you can get a person to doubt their paradigm, or suspend belief in their paradigm for a second, say, hold on a second, intelligent design does kind of seem to poke a hole in my naturalism, then you could always follow up with metaphysical or, some other line of argument to kind of exploit that breach, right?
Yeah. And that's really interesting, Gary, because, it's funny enough, that's sort of what atheists do to a lot of Christians, right? They often throw out these weird puzzles about God or stuff like that. But there's a difference, right? So like when the atheist throws out a puzzle about God, usually there's some sort of paradox where we don't see how pieces fit together, or we're just not sure what the question is. And for some reason, this causes doubt in people. And I think that's a mistake. Whereas when I think more often when theists throw out challenges for the atheist, it's worse than that. It's not that we don't see how the pieces don't fit together. It's that we see that the pieces positively do not fit together. Right. That should cause doubt. So, for example, I'll give you another example. And it wasn't on my program, but another program I heard an atheist throw out a question to a Christian, and they were really kind of stumped by it. He's like, well, could God show us the future, right? And if he showed us the future of our decision, then how are we free? Like classic issues of free will and divine foreknowledge, right? And the Christian didn't really know how to respond to it, and it seemed to bother people. And I don't think things like that should bother people, because you haven't drawn out a clear contradiction here. You've shown us something that's sort of a mystery. We're not entirely sure. But you haven't shown me that these pieces don't fit together. And of course, I think that's a fallacy. Like necessarily, even if God knows what you're going to choose, that doesn't mean necessarily you had to choose it. I think we have counterfactual power over God's causality, actually, and choice as secondary causes. So yeah, God could reveal the future to us, but that doesn't mean that I had to choose it. And if I would have chose otherwise, God would have revealed a different future. I think the solution really is as simple as that. So there are good answers to these issues that often stump people. But the challenges to naturalism are saying, no, given the best of what we do know, your theory is not true. It does not work, right? So I think there's actually an asymmetry in these sort of like paradigm poking challenges. I think they're a lot more serious for naturalism. Where the theism, there's mystery and we're not sure how everything fits. I think a lot of the challenges for naturalism, whether it's coming from challenges arising from the best of what we know scientifically against a particular naturalistic theory, or challenges from moral theory to a naturalistic paradigm being able to explain it, or deeper metaphysical challenges, I think we're actually pretty clearly able to show that naturalism just is false. Like it just is not a true theory.
Kind of putting a chink in one's worldview and then exploiting that. And you said, like, with naturalism, we could just show it's wrong. And I was thinking with your own experience, it was kind of your realization that all roads lead to nihilism, and ultimately that's just not the right answer.
Yeah. So just to expand on some of those points, and that's right for people who've heard my story before. I was in the naturalistic camp for many years, and as I kept seeking explanations for various phenomena and basic experiences, from consciousness to morality and so on and so forth, I realized that naturalism it didn't have what it takes, right? And it would lead to nihilism or eliminativism. And I think this relates to what we were talking about. So I mean, take our moral experience. We think that there really are moral facts, that some things really are inherently valuable, that there really are moral duties, obligations, prescriptions, prohibitions, right? That some things are really and truly wrong, some things are really and truly right, irrespective of how we feel about them, right? They're stance independent, right? Well, what grounds these moral facts? What grounds, the nature of moral experience, moral obligations, and so on and so forth? Well, again, I think if naturalism is not just extremely ad hoc and infinitely flexible, it's a project that's motivated by a broad scientism, and it's committed to really, I think, a physicalism and a reductionism, that whatever else we know about the world comes through science, and whatever exists are those sort of things that science tells us about in physics and chemistry. And boy, we don't see anything that resembles our moral experience in any of that, right? That's sort of the general concern. And it seems like the sort of logic of a naturalism, right? If you begin from the naturalistic starting point, the grand story of scientific epistemology, a theory of knowledge, where you have this naturalistic beginning, whatever that is, Big Bang or multiverse, and then you have atomic theory plus evolutionary theory. I think you are led ineluctably to absurd positions, namely, like concerning morality, that all of our moral experience is really just delusion that is the result of evolutionary forces pressuring us to go on dates and avoid bears. And we form these beliefs only because they were useful for survival. And that's it. They have no link to anything beyond us that could possibly ground morality in the way that we commonly interpret and experience it, right? And this is why so many naturalists I think are consistent, old and new, from Nietzsche to Alex Rosenberg, embrace nihilism, or they go even further nihilism. They go to absurdism, and I think actually that's even more correct, is absurdism. I don't think it stops at morality. I think it goes right through consciousness and reason and all of that, right? You have to sort of explode everything if you're really trying to be consistent with naturalism. So I think that's right. I think that when it comes to trying to put chinks in the armor of opposing worldviews, yes, there's many puzzles people can throw out about God, but I think it's really just that. They're puzzles where, at worst, we haven't seen how to fit all the pieces together. I've never seen an instance of where we see the pieces do not fit together concerning classical theism. That would be something that's a contradiction. I see lots of instances of naturalism where we can put out challenges where we see things definitely do not fit together. And that's reason to abandon naturalism. But beyond that, I think we should go beyond just trying to put chinks in somebody's worldview. I think that helps, right? It's like sometimes like an opening move. It's like, here, take a shot here, right? Take a shot there. And then like once they feel weakened, then give a more substantive theory. I think that's what we definitely should do, is say, hey, it seems like naturalism is totally inadequate for you to hold on to a lot of things that, boy, you should really want to hold on to, right? That some things are really wrong, that you do exist, right? That you really, right? Talk about, eliminativism concerning persons and consciousness too, which naturalists go that route, that you really do exist, right? You are real. That moral facts, there are moral facts, right? Well, look, theism has a good explanation of these things, but it's even more basic than that. Somebody posted on Facebook just the other day. It's a philosopher friend, and I think he's heading in our direction, Gary. It's kind of interesting because he just posted this question of like, hey, why is our experience so stable and orderly? What explains this? And I put like a little cheeky comment there. I'm like, keep asking that question, friend. That's what led me from naturalism to theism after a while. And like, think about that. That is a really common thing, right? I mean, what could be more common than our basic, stable, orderly experience, aside from the fact that something exists? But we shouldn't mistake what is common as something that is like not amazing. I mean, these experiences are common, right? But these are incredibly amazing. So that anything exists is amazing, but that anything exists is logically independent that anything exists in a stable, orderly way, right? Or that we experience it. Those are three things we need to explain. That anything exists, that there's anything that experiences existing things, and that the experience of the existing things is stable and orderly. That's incredible. Those are three incredible things. All right, well, let's compare theories. Does naturalism anticipate or predict any? Of course not. Of course it doesn't, right? It doesn't explain any of that stuff. Theism entails that something exists, right? It's guaranteed by theism, because if God exists, he's a necessary being whose essence just is his existence. He's metaphysically necessary. If theism is true, then something has to exist. Great. Huge prediction score right there, right? Naturalism cannot do that at all. There's nothing about a naturalistic paradigm that can give you a necessary existent or explain why something has to exist rather than not. Naturalism fails on that front completely. Okay, but even if you just give them that, why should we expect that anything will experience whatever exists? Okay, well, now we got to explain conscious beings that have this sort of ability of self-reflection, right? That's an incredible step. But put that to the side right now. Let's just go to the stable and orderly existence, right? Why isn't that things just aren't completely chaotic all the time? Does naturalism give an explanation for this? No, of course not. How could it? There's nothing in the naturalistic paradigm that would have you expect a stable and orderly existence is any more probable than the most chaotic, haphazard, random assembly of things, right? But theism gives a great explanation of this, right? If God exists, then we can have a moral motivation theory that God would want to diffuse his goodness. This is a very classical principle, and that God will not just instantiate natures, right? Natures that are abiding centers of action, but he will instantiate natures in a way that they make sense with one another. So, like, I don't even think if you're a naturalist, like, well, I'm an Aristotelian. I believe in natures, and natures can make sense of the stability of things. Well, not necessarily, because why don't we just have a whole collection of natures that are just a total mess altogether, right? Why this series of natures, right, that seems to link up and just really hang together in such a non-chaotic way? So I don't even think like just being a sort of bare Aristotelian is enough. Whereas theism, and I hope people will appreciate the point that I'm trying to make, like this is trying to explain exceptionally basic experiences, but that's what worldviews should do, right? Worldviews are trying to explain literally everything, and the most basic experiences are part of the phenomena to be explained. Why anything exists, why things exist in a stably orderly way, why things continue to exist, right? Why there's endurance. Theism explains all of this exceptionally well. Naturalism has no explanation. These are questions that are hopelessly left open by naturalists, right? They can assert things. They can just assert that something had to exist, but they don't give an explanation of it. So just asserting that it's necessary that things had to be this way is not an explanation, right? Because there are various necessary truths that we know can be explained, from mathematical truths to even God's existence is metaphysically necessary. We think we can explain that in terms of God's essence just being God's existence, right? So yeah, those are just some features of the world that I think are really close to home, that are really easy for people to ignore. But when you reflect on those experiences and you realize that, wow, that's common but amazing, what makes sense of that? Those are just the sorts of experiences that should cause people to realize that theism is a really powerful theory, and that naturalism is really quite hopeless when it comes to explaining, I think, the most obvious things that need to be explained.
Yeah, that's interesting. So the more eccentric things, that people could experience, such as miracles, naturalism does a good job trying to swat those away or explain them away. But when it comes to the very basic, most mundane but profound things like why we exist, why we're conscious of our existence, why it's stable and orderly, that's naturalism just has no answers.
Yeah, naturalism can try and swat away miracle claims, but in doing so, if you're a naturalist, then you just leave everything fundamentally a miracle.
Yeah,
right?
That's true. Yeah, that's a really good point. So yeah, everything is
including the laws of nature that they want to appeal to, right? They have no good account of laws of nature. Why are there any laws of nature at all? What is a law of nature? Again, I think theism makes great sense of this. The laws of nature are shorthand descriptions of the laws of the natures of things, of how things will behave under certain conditions, right? That we can capture that behavior in, equational relationships and mathematical language. Theism gives a great explanation of laws of nature, right? What they are, why they continue to hold, all those basic things. So I think laws of nature are great. I actually think they're much more to be expected if theism is true than naturalism. Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah. And you don't have the pesky problem of basic facts. No, I can't think of the name.
Brute facts.
Brute facts. Thank you. Yeah. I mean, you don't have brute facts popping up all over the place because you can't answer something according to your worldview.
Yeah, that's right, and that's bad news, right? I think we want to get rid of brute facts entirely, because a brute fact is something that it seems like that thing should have an explanation, right? Some sort of deeper explanation, but it doesn't, right? It's just there, and that's the end of the story. Bertrand Russell famously said that of the universe. Why is the universe there? Well, it just is. Stop asking questions. Go have dinner, something like that. That seems deeply unsatisfactory, right? Right? And the problem is if you start to explain things, right? Take the classic example that the world is it's held up because it's balanced on the back of the turtle, right? Well, why is that turtle there? Where the turtle's on the back of another turtle. Okay, well, why is that turtle there? Where it's on the back of another turtle. Okay, well, why is that turtle there? Well, it just is. It's a brute fact, right? Well, then you can ask, well, have you really explained the stability of the world? Right? And I think the answer is like quite obviously, not only have you not explained the stability of the world, not only have you not removed the mystery of the stability of the world, you've actually added more mystery.